listening to Pop This, the podcast where three women talk about pop culture. Here are your hosts, Lisa Christiansen, Andrea Gin, and Andrea Warner.
So we have big news, not for anyone else, but for ourselves. That's
we have big news that will not impact a single one of you and no one here.
No, but maybe people will be happy because they're in the same situation.
Yes. No, it's like highly relatable content, as it were.
There you go. There you go. But we're very excited to announce that we will be meeting for it would have been annual Christmas meal. The Pop This team.
Yep.
All three of us.
Yeah.
We weren't able to meet last year.
Nope.
In 2020, as nobody was able to meet in 2020. But now we have decided this year we are going to meet for lunch.
Very excited. Honestly, this sort of double vax life, I have finally embraced elements of it that allow me to leave the house. I
went to a concert.
Yeah, I went to 3. It was weird. But isn't it wild? Just doing stuff. Yeah, just
I haven't been to a concert yet. What are the concerts like?
Still not, the same. You're in masks and you can't dance, which, the footloose aspect of it is a little bit challenging.
You're not moshing.
You're not. So where I was, there was no standing area by the stage, which is what I'm used to. It was all chairs. So I was at the Rickshaw here in Vancouver to see the Pack AD and Fake Shark and a new band called the Hyenas, who were quite sweet and good. And yeah, it was their first show, but it was the first show back for Fake Shark and Pack AD, first show they'd played since the beginning of the pandemic.
Well, and the Pack, that would be such a great show because they had actually announced that they were going to take a break.
I was going to just say that. I thought they had broken up.
Well, they hadn't broken up, but they were going to take a break for a long time, and they were going to do one last tour in 2020. And then all of it got, squashed.
They got a forced break.
A forced break.
Yeah.
So yeah, now now they've got touring plans for 2022 so far, I think.
Wow.
I'm so glad you got to see that show.
Yeah,
that's great.
It was a great show. It was really great, and I could tell there was all of the feelings in that room were pretty mutual. About being able to get back to seeing live shows.
Oh, can you imagine how many other this band was on the cusp of taking a hiatus and the pandemic happened and they're okay, I guess we'll just keep practicing so we could do this final tour at some point, and 2 years later they're getting ready to do it. But I've heard stories about that happening to couples as well.
Yes.
We're gonna break up and I'm gonna move out of the apartment, but then not during the pandemic.
Yeah, no, you can't we really put everything on hold. It was truly pausing your Spotify. I mean, it just and you're hitting play again and oh wow, I was listening to that song 2 years ago.
2 years ago, that's what I was doing. Well, yeah, even just so my we're I've been to 3 concerts. They've all been by the same person. I was back doing some stuff with Buffy St. Marie, and it was the first night was so emotionally overwhelming. We're in this little 300-seater club in London, Ontario. It's already this really kind of lovely venue that she has a strong emotional attachment to. They're an arts hub and they do a lot of nonprofit work and they support a lot of independent artists and so then and then we had some seats in the balcony and it was really great seats, and I didn't know whether or not I would really ever get a chance to see Buffy play again, because last year there were a lot of who knows, maybe she'll end up retiring, maybe who knows what's going to happen to any of us. Everything seemed so up in the air. So to have these be our shows back, or my shows back in sort of a like a just, sort of new iteration of COVID, where vaccines are working and we are allowed to do things again. It was so, I just like wept the entire show. It was so, it was just like so powerful.
Yeah.
The whole audience, you could tell, like the whole audience was like, this is a small town and this venue is really important to them and Buffy's really important to them. It was just great. And then a few days later, she played Massey Hall. She was like the second show of their big like grand reopening in Toronto.
That must have been amazing.
It was wild. Like the audience was so talkative and like kind of like shouting things. Like they were.
Forgot how to be an audience.
No one knew how to be. Like that's the thing. No one knew how to be.
I was saying that about going to my first movie like a couple weeks ago when I was telling you guys like the people were like talking really loudly, walking into the dark theater after the movie had started.
Yep.
They're just like talking like they were outside. And it's just like there's like 20 people here trying to watch a movie. Can you just
Yeah. I think we've just got used to being at home, watching things and talking and pausing and doing, various other things. And I found that sometimes my attention span was a little bit challenged. Like, oh, I'm going to sit here in this seat for a long time and not get up and do something else. Oh, okay. That seems weird,
Well, and particularly because I don't know if you found this, Lisa, but like when you're wearing, I mean, I've been very lucky. I haven't had to work outside and wear my mask for like 12 hours a day, right? Like I've, it's the trip to Toronto, like the flying and like everything, like those are sort of the longest stretches that I've been wearing a mask. And I had to wear a mask a lot while we were doing a bunch of other work and stuff. And that's fine. Like, I'm happy to wear masks. I frankly don't want to go places where people are not wearing masks.
Right.
But suddenly you're tempted to like just order a beverage just so you can have like 3 minutes of sweet relief from the mask.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's really wow. I really thought that I would just be like, I'm never thirsty again. I am so committed to a masked life. And then you're just like, I need 2 minutes. Yeah. 2 minutes where like my face just can breathe a little bit. And so you're just like, yeah, I'll drink anything I can.
It's a strange thing. It's like I'm used to the masks so much now, but I'm also more frustrated by the masks at the same time.
Well, I think I feel like I
want them. I'm not saying I don't.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I think we all want them. We're frustrated for the reasons why we have to keep wearing them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's deeply frustrating. Just some real basic science knowledge would have benefited a lot of people in high school or elementary school.
Yeah.
Viruses mutate, blah, blah, blah. I should turn it into a song.
That's
also,
a great song.
and just a heads up, the internet is great for looking up things, but it does not actually replicate research by professionals.
No way. What are you saying?
Well,
what kind of blasphemy am I sharing here?
Professionals who have been through, like a decade of medical school or training to do their job.
Oh, they don't know what they're doing. I spent an hour last night looking around, and I'll tell you, I got some stuff to share.
You figured
going
out
to blow your mind.
All the life hacks for both COVID and toenail fungus. What a beautiful.
I'm moving on to
offering.
International relations later, so give me a call and I'll give you my thoughts on how we might be able to fix all of the problems that are facing our nations.
Well, in very exciting and not at all related news, I just thought yesterday I'd share news about how I got a uterus biopsy yesterday, and
that is a bit of a turn.
That is a pivot, and I know we've all been pivoting during the pandemic, but wow.
Again, I don't know how to be a person anymore who doesn't share weird news in like in a. But I was just like, right now I'm having all these cramps, and I was just like, I should tell them why my face might be making some interesting positions. No, I'm fine. Don't worry. But because I've had like this just Wow. Oh yeah, I also found out that these like wildly irregular and very intense periods that I've been having my like iron was like at a 4 and it's supposed to be like above a 50. And my medication for the iron has raised it to a 7 in the last few weeks. So it's working. Don't worry.
Oh, okay.
But
you got a ways to go.
You know
I got a real ways to go.
You love chewing on ice.
I do, and that's actually a sign of anemia. And I have been anemic for like a long time.
Oh.
And I probably should have dealt with it better. But because I like first became anemic when I was vegetarian actually, and that was a very long time ago, like over 10 years ago. So then I had to stop being a vegetarian. But I guess I just still didn't consume enough iron. Anyway,
I'm surprised that you haven't just like fainted.
you know, I think I'm just not a fainter. Like I think like I don't know. Some people are natural fainters, and I am not. I don't know why. But
I remember a friend of mine, she had low iron and she was walking home from a show in the like late at night in Toronto and fainted in the street.
Oh my God.
And no one did anything.
They just left her there?
She woke up like in the morning lying on the sidewalk in the middle of the street.
Oh my God.
She was with a group of people and they just left her?
No, she wasn't. She was walking by herself. But I mean, presumably, like she was in the city.
Yeah, like other people would have walked over her body.
Oh my God.
That's awful. That's awful.
I'm glad she was okay. Jeez.
Yeah, no kidding. Ugh,
it just turned out she had low iron and fainted.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Cautionary tale, everybody. Get your iron checked.
Just so yes, I had the biopsy yesterday. And it's a very weird thing. Just in case anyone who listens who has a uterus and has had to have one of these, all power to you. It's a very weird process, and uncomfortable and unpleasant. But these are things they got to do when you have like wildly irregular periods and a 4 iron. So what a fun time. I love the first time meeting a person being them just going like spelunking in my cavern.
That's quite an image that you've given us there.
Painted a picture.
The doctor was so nice though. I really liked her. So she was she was great. But what a time. What a time.
Okay. Wow. I have no idea how you're going to segue. Maybe this is just one of those times where you just have to pause and we move to the next step.
I mean, I honestly think that the movie didn't bother with segues. So why should we? This is exactly the hard left turn. I mean, for a movie that its centerpiece is a play called Jesus H. Christ, I think with an exclamation point, but is also, Netflix's first gay rom-com for the holidays. They don't need segues, neither do we. I'm Andrea Warner.
I'm Lisa Christiansen.
I'm Andrea Gin.
And you're listening to Pop This. And in case you haven't guessed, we are talking about the wildly sort of highly praised and popular Single All the Way. It currently has 71% audience approval on Rotten Tomatoes.
Which is pretty good for a Christmas rom-com.
Which seems fair. That's a C+, yeah?
It's almost a B.
Almost a B. Okay.
Almost a B.
Yeah.
And I honestly do feel that compared to a lot of other Christmas movies that I have watched, this is Pulitzer Prize stuff. So
it's got a really good title too.
It does. And I'm not going to complain about this movie at all because my expectations around the Christmas holidays are really just make me feel good. Just like that. That's all I want. Make me feel good. Don't challenge me. Don't offer me complex characters at all. At all. I don't mind a tiny bit of, of recognition from one of our characters about something that they should have noticed before. That's fine, but I don't want any other development.
Well, this movie, honestly, is what a gift to you.
Yeah.
Personally,
Yeah.
this movie.
Exactly.
Great. I mean, I honestly am very excited to talk about it. I know that, the three of us sort of mentioned beforehand, is there really much to talk about with this film? And while, yes, there is not. No,
yes,
there's
there
still
is not. That is
Yes, there
hurting
is
my
not.
head.
Yes, there is not a lot to talk about. But no, there is still some stuff.
Yeah. We can, yes, there is not.
And yet, no, there is still. So
Yes.
I'm just hurting your brain, Lisa. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I know. Those double negatives always get me. So.
The double negatives are harsh, but I also feel like I'm speaking like Aunt Sand. And I feel like I've really channeled her.
And sand.
Yeah. How did they call her Sand? Why Sand? Anyway.
Yeah.
Do you know anyone named Sandy who ends up being called Sand?
Well, Sandy's already a shortened version of Sandra. So how?
Yeah.
Why not we
And
just
who-
S?
And why the hard D? Why not just Sand?
Yeah.
Like, why sand? Like,
Sandy.
what is supposed to imply? Like, she's like the grittiness of rocks ground down by decades and eons of waves? No.
Is Sandy to take too much time to say that E sound? Is just like, I don't have time.
I mean, I get it going from like 2 syllables to 1, but again,
Yeah.
why would you do the hard D?
Like,
Like,
why aren't we saying Pete then instead of Peter?
Yeah, and why are people like, for example, when people shorten my name to Anne, that makes sense. They don't ever shorten it to And.
And
I just I don't understand it.
the reason we're having this conversation is because there's not a lot to talk about in this movie. So that is why we have decided to really hone in on some key issues.
Honestly, you want me to go granular on this thing? I can go granular. I can talk about this movie for 4 hours.
Yeah.
But we won't.
You might need to.
No, we won't. We're going to keep it tight.
Yeah.
Okay, I will read a little background here. Single All the Way is a 2021 Canadian Christmas romantic comedy film. I feel that Canadian description word there
It was
is
filmed in Montreal.
yeah, but I feel like the word specifically is like kind of its own sort of weird death sentence because
Yeah.
most Christmas rom-coms end up being filmed in Canada. Very few get described as a Canadian.
How do you get described as a Canadian?
I don't know because it was supposed to be
Christmas.
set in New Hampshire. So
It is set in New Hampshire. But
Is it like made by a Canadian production company? Is that what that means?
great question. We don't know.
No.
But I love that the
thing that tipped me
Wikipedia-
off was Jocelyn, but that's,
Well, yeah.
yeah.
We got Jennifer Robertson from Schitt's Creek. But yeah, wild. Anyway, Canadian Christmas romantic comedy film directed by Michael Mayer and written by Chad Hodge. The plot follows a young gay man, Michael Urie, who convinces his best friend, Philemon Chambers, to pretend to be his boyfriend when he goes home for Christmas, only to be set up on a blind date by his mother. Luke McFarlane, Barry Bostwick, Jennifer Robertson, and Jennifer Coolidge also star. The film was released by Netflix on December 2nd, 2021. We watched it basically the day it came out, or the day after. Critics praised the film's depiction of gay characters in an everyday setting, but criticized the script's usage of tropes common to the Christmas romantic comedy film genre.
That's why I liked it.
And if you're why would you criticize that when that's what this movie is?
Yeah. That's
Anyway.
the whole reason it was so great, just to have gay characters doing all the stupid tropes.
Exactly. That is our definition of progress in 2021.
Yeah, there we go.
I like how you talked about how we watched it basically immediately when it was released. Like we're this huge furnace that Netflix just shovels Christmas movies into,
And I've already
they can't
watched
even release them fast enough.
A Castle for Christmas, so this is my second
I
Netflix
watched-
Christmas special.
I watched Love Hard basically the day it came out too. And also my second Christmas special from Netflix. Yeah, I'm in it. Like,
I'm in too.
Yeah. All right, Lisa, do you want to read the synopsis?
Yes, I do.
Synopsis.
This is from synopsis.
What's wrong with you talking? You're talking tonight.
This is the iron deficiency.
Yes, the low iron.
Okay.
I feel I said it right. I just said it with a bit of flair because it's hilarious to me that this is the synopsis.
This is from the New York Times, of all publications. Peter, played by Michael Urie, is a perpetual bachelor who finally has a boyfriend to bring home to his family for the holidays. But when Peter's beau turns out to be someone else's husband, Peter convinces his best friend, Nick, Philemon Chambers, to visit over Christmas instead. Nick is well loved by the family, so much so that they hatch a matchmaking scheme for the two singles. Peter's holly jolly mother, Carol, played by Kathy Najimy, cajoles and sets him up on a blind date with her hot trainer. But his father, siblings, and nieces push the pair to help with kooky Aunt Sandy, we're going to call her Sandy here, and her Christmas play in hopes that the two friends might realize they're better off as lovers.
God, that word lovers,
Because
I
that
hate
happens.
it so much.
That happens a lot, right?
That's the whole rom-com thing, or a lot of it, right?
Well, you know that when you have...
Well, it's the opposite of my best friend's wedding.
It sure is. It's absolutely the opposite. You definitely always have like a dad, a bunch of siblings, and two nieces who are just like, no one looks at each other like that. And like, we have to keep being told that they're looking at each other special.
We do, because the lack of chemistry between these two men is quite heartbreaking.
Well, I think personally, like, both of them are so charming. I feel like they were not given a chance to sort of like have 2 days of just bonding, like before filming, so that you don't get a sense of them as friends or friends who have a spark.
Yeah.
I have to say, I was a little confused at the beginning because I wasn't super paying attention, to the like we all talk about, like, you just, like, these Christmas movies are on and you're just doing stuff.
Yeah.
And so when I finally was like focusing like 10 minutes into it, I was so confused by like the ages of the people, because I thought that Jennifer Robertson was like their like mom's like sister. I thought she was one of the aunts.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that she was like
his
sister
older sister
of Peter.
Yeah.
That it just I mean, it's not that huge an age difference, I guess, but I was just like, it's interesting that I just like thought that like Peter and Nick were like a generation, and then like Lisa and Aunt Sandy and Carol were a generation. Yeah, and it sort of took me like a few minutes to like figure out where I went wrong there.
Well, and also, like, do you need the other sister with that husband and those two young kids? I guess the young kids factor into Nick's play. Well, they factor into Nick's storyline because they inspire him to like write the sequel about the dog, like his dog. So I guess they need him for that. But like, it just seems like there were a lot of people in the cast, and that we don't really need that many people.
You always need a big family for some reason in rom-com Christmas movies. You have to have,
I guess,
unless it's the holiday, but in like,
yeah, you need a big family and they all need to be crammed into one house.
Yeah, you need to have that kind of dynamic, which is
That's
what
the
they
formula.
do here in this movie. So they just shove them all together.
It's so this movie is so weird to me on several levels. One, I thought it was about 20 minutes to half an hour too long. And I also just kept thinking, there's some funny, weird stuff in here, but it's not edited by someone who seems to understand jokes. You know what I mean? Like I feel, I don't know who did the editing on this film, but
did you laugh in this movie?
A few times, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Like, we're supposed to find Aunt Sandy funny and like her whole thing, but like it's not really edited to be funny.
Okay, I did laugh once. I laughed when she gave the speech and then Peter said that is word for word Madonna's.
Yes.
I laughed at that.
That was funny.
That was very funny. That was very
but there are like a few other moments that I think we're supposed to find like really funny, and they just kind of fall flat, and I don't think they necessarily needed to. I personally thought that Philemon Chambers was just so charming.
And
I wish
so cute.
Yeah.
Oh my god, so cute, so charming.
Yeah.
So like just
the details of his character's backstory are so charming. Like his writing a children's book, you know, like saving up his money for a rainy day, and
he can fix anything you need. He can do anything.
I know.
He's got a recently deceased mother.
Have you heard of TaskRabbit before you watch this?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Because we don't have it here, do we?
No, it's a US thing for sure.
Yeah, well, and I think they have something similar to it in South Korea, because it's in the South Korean TV shows I watch too.
Nice.
But yeah, I wonder why like there isn't a TaskRabbit in Canada yet.
I don't know. I mean, Craigslist used to,
That's what I use.
Craigslist used to have like a because I know that a lot of people used to do transcription this way. They would have like a micro, you could pay someone for like 10 minutes of time at a time to like do different jobs. And so it was sort of similar to that, but like not quite. But yeah, I don't know why we don't have a TaskRabbit here.
It's a good question.
Yeah, I mean, because I saw it. I first saw it in a South Korean drama called Let's Eat. And it's like one of the single women who lives in an apartment there, you know, like gets TaskRabbit people to like help her hang stuff up in her apartment or like move furniture and do these kinds of things. And I was thinking, that's actually really genius. Because like if you're living alone, there's a lot of things you could use a hand with. And,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I think it would be great. But anyway, okay. Well, we kind of jumped around a little bit. So give me.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Give me
Like
your no. Give me your thoughts. Like, what's the good and what's the bad of Single All the Way?
Well, I'll say good. It's traditional Christmas rom-com. I'll say good. The fact that we saw two gay characters that were just characters. They were just, when trying to set people up, it could be a male, female, could be two females, could be two men. Doesn't really matter. The whole point is the rom of the com. I felt we were a bit lacking in the com in this one, but I thought good. Obviously, the cast was quite good. They didn't have a lot to work with. Bad, I agree with you. It was a bit too long. We knew where it's going. So sometimes the fact that you know where it's going and it just makes you kind of wince, like, this fake tension we don't really need. But on the whole, it is exactly a soothing Christmas rom-com. And I think that, as you said, how progress seems ridiculous now in 2021, especially when you see how effortless this is. It doesn't matter. Families just like to meddle in love life. It doesn't matter whose love life it is. And I really thought there was a real sweetness to the fact that Peter wanted to move home again, to be with his family, as opposed to a lot of Christmas movies where it's, how do I get away from my family? They're so annoying. So I really like that element of it as well.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, actually. Like, it is like the reverse of what so many things are. It was, he actually loves his family and wants to be there. Mm-hmm. And he knows it's going to be a bit of a headache, but he also like just cares enough that like, you know, he's really thinking seriously about moving back.
But I like the fact that they touch on the issue that if you are gay, that you are going to be isolating yourself in, you know, a small community like that, which is quite different from LA where he lives now, which is like a whole thriving community for him. So I think that it was important that they brought up that issue.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
AG, what about you?
I mean, I felt like, you know, it had the burden of representation of being like the first movie with, you know, gay love interests. And so it, you know, a lot of firsts have that kind of problem. Like they have to they don't get super specific because they're covering everything because they want to, you know, try to represent as much as possible. So I felt like it was a little bit over the top in that sense. But generally speaking, like in terms of being the formula for rom-coms, like I felt like it had really charming elements of the story, and it was just easy and fun to watch. And yeah, much better than probably 95% of the Christmas rom-com content you're going to find anywhere.
Yeah, like I think that I agree with that too. Like I think a lot about what this is sort of like, what this is sort of positioned amongst, and then what it's compared to. And like, because of the sort of centerpiece being a gay love story, and it being Netflix's first non like heterosexual Christmas rom-com, which again, just like, my God, it again, compared to all of those other, like, I think about like Christmas Prince and like so many other films of that nature, like this honestly does feel like it's just in a separate class of film, because it's pretty joyful. Like it's, there's not a tremendous amount of conflict, and I don't think you necessarily like only have to have like external conflict. Like the conflict can be Peter like not sure where he belongs. If they just like flesh that out a tiny bit more and have it be like an actual sort of like existential crisis, like that's a fine amount of conflict. I do agree that like I mean, for someone to be as charming and attractive as Philemon Chambers, and you can't like muster the appropriate amount of like hubba, like you just like why, like that is such
the old it'll ruin the friendship just doesn't, like, that's not enough of a, really, there could have been a little bit something else.
Well, I can respect the whole like it might ruin the friendship kind of thing, but like when we're talking about the lack of chemistry between the two of them, like I know some people it just kind of falls flat or whatever, but like I don't think you cannot have chemistry with Philemon Chambers. Like I don't understand, and I don't want to blame
Did you
Michael
watch the same movie?
No, but that's the thing. Like I just like he's so charming, and I feel like he had chemistry with Barry Bostwick. Like, I mean, that, not that I'm saying that I want to...
But they didn't give him much of a character. He didn't really have any kind of edges or something else. Like, it would have been better if he'd had a partner and back home that he, you know what I mean? Like something that when it came time to, do you want to move here? Yeah, sure. Like there wasn't, like he got such a thin character. He really did.
Or even just like some... Like, I get, like, they wanted to have a sort of, like, a fantasy, but, like, the fantasy can't be that the one black male character in the movie is just a flat miracle of a human, mm-hmm. Like, he has so many...
Yeah, he didn't have any faults, not a single one, nothing.
But, like, not even faults, like, he just, like, some embodied opinions. Like, he doesn't even have... He doesn't even have, like... any kind of he just, it's not like the way that they write him, he becomes sort of like that sort of like magical character, and mm-hmm. It's not very fair or rewarding. And again, like for a Christmas fantasy, I think that's totally, I get why they might want to do that, but like maybe just like allow Nick to have a bit of a conversation with himself even about what it means for him to like move to New Hampshire. Yeah. Like this tiny town that he at the very least seemed to me like the only person of color in this town.
Yeah, like how many black people are there? That's a good question.
You can still have like it be a like a fantasy and still acknowledge sort of the lived experience of some of your characters. I don't know. Like it just There's apparently going to be now 3 gay men that live in this town.
Yes. So there's a pride parade possibility for next
There
year.
is as long as the three of them walk in a row.
Yeah, exactly.
One behind each other. That'll be great. It was, but
I do love the idea. Like, they left us with this beautiful picture of them opening a plant store, a quaint little plant store in the main street of town. And, I just felt happy at the end of that movie because you're just like, oh, that's a really beautiful life that they're set up to live now.
And really happy to have family. And that was another nice thing too. It wasn't having to go back to LA to open up that plant store, right? It was it was obviously then you could pay the rent for 6 months because I don't know what it would be in LA. That's for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, you get the feeling that they're going to like have their own family as well. And they're going to like sort of really dig into this like life that is all about, just constant familial meddling. Nick seems to have no family left of his own that we know of, which is deeply sad.
I definitely feel a sequel coming on for their wedding. Well, there will be.
Oh my
tensions.
God. Their Christmas wedding, you guys.
Right?
Yes.
Yes, they'll get married next Christmas. They're probably already filming it right now.
Maybe it's like the road trip they have to take to go pick up Nick's dog.
Emmett.
Oh, Emmett. Oh, that.
Of course,
would be
I'd remember
nice.
the dog. I was like really sad. I'm like, what are you gonna like? You can't bring Emmett to New Hampshire right now. But Emmett will be a big part of the wedding movie. I think he'll walk down with the rings or something like that.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
And honestly, like the pictures of Emmett at the doggy hotel, he seemed to be having a great time. Remember, he was like in the pool, like, he's swimming. Like Emmett's having a good time.
Emmett was fine, and Emmett was going to be the star of the next book, and so then we get to have one of those scenes where they're doing the book signing then that's where Nick meets his former lover.
Oh,
and that'll be the tension during the wedding.
Wow. It would be nice to see Nick thirsted over. Like, I mean, again, I like Peter, but like, I was just like, Nick is a catch, man.
Yeah,
like,
no kidding. Yeah.
What are we doing here?
Yeah.
The man can hammer stuff and draw and write books.
Yeah.
Like,
and fix up your shop and get ready for plants. I mean, really, there's nothing that man can't do. And look adorable in photos.
And get along with your family.
Yeah.
Truly,
love your
he
family.
did so much work with that family.
Yeah.
Like,
all the Christmas lights, he did everything.
I really loved the nieces. I know that it was like kind of highly, suspect that these nieces.
I found them a bit corny.
They're corny, but I sort of really liked just how are you going to engage to sort of like a slightly checked out 16 and 17-year-olds? Give them a mission, make them Cupid, and make them like, especially like, of course they love this man who refers to himself constantly as their gunkle and has like taught them a dance routine to a Britney Spears Christmas song. Like, of course they like worship him, and they've sort of, been seeing Nick in his life for like most of their youth. So they're invested in that relationship. Like, I bought it. I wanted to buy it, so I bought it, and I was fine with it.
I was okay. I actually quite liked the family. They weren't, like I said, they were likable. They weren't super annoying. Even Mom making those signs was really quite a charming little thing.
The mom making the signs? I was laughing so hard. I was like, wow, can you, like, this woman loves Christmas, but she also does not support capitalism. She's making all of these signs.
Like,
these are sort of, I mean, it's perfect. I love it.
Yeah, exactly. I want that sign business to thrive inside the plant store. I mean, I don't want to tell you guys how to do your work.
Of course,
but
home
that's
decor
how I see it.
and plants.
Yeah,
that's perfect.
Yeah.
Well, that's like another, like, that's one of, again, like some of these jokes that should have been jokes that kind of fell flat. Like when they pull up and Nick's like, you never told me that your mom had a Christmas specific drag name. Again, like, it's just like
Christmas
a little
Carol,
funny Christmas Carol, like just,
Yeah.
but like little tiny jokes that, again, I did really like, but I was just like, if that had a chance to be, like, had a chance to really hit, like if it had just been sort of like slightly edited a little bit, it would have been like way funnier. And I just kept wanting that for people.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yes. As
Like,
I
I
said,
think
it was
they
a
could
bit
do
thin
it.
on the calm. Lots of rom.
Lots of rom. Yeah, lots of rom. Like, I was pleased that there like was, you know, especially like in keeping with other Christmas rom-coms, there was like the amount of kissing you would expect. Like, you know, no one was holding back. People were, you know, sort of like, you know, will they, won't they kind of kisses. The photo shoots. Can we talk about the photo shoots?
Wow. Can we? Why? What are we going to say? Why even?
Because I want to dwell in this moment for just a few seconds, please, where somehow, especially in these COVID times, your sort of test of personal chemistry with the subject of your photograph is gusting their hot breath into the cold air. And
while wearing shaving cream on your face. Yeah.
What is that? Is that a technique? I take a lot of photos and that's never been a technique of mine. It's just like, I want to see your breath. And like, that's
the shaving cream also went on a little too neatly.
Yeah, it sure did.
Yeah. Where are they wiping their hands after?
Yeah.
And why are they wanting real people when clearly these are not real people that we saw in these photos? So,
well, also just like, how does it become a thing where it's the three of them? If they had, if it had really like, if they had really wanted to go for it, it could have just been a beautiful like, movie about like, you know, three men finding relationship together. But Netflix isn't going to go there yet.
Yeah, we just left the trainer kind of hanging out there being Mr. Gracious. Hey, I could see you too. He didn't feel any put out at all. He is like the most self-aware human being in all of the state.
He's just like, let me casually peace out. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I can see you guys really feel love, and I'll find the one other gay man in all of this state or something, or this city.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Had either of you ever seen Michael Urie in anything before?
No. What else has
I don't
he been
think
in?
so.
I'm not like super familiar with his oeuvre, as it were, but I believe he was in Ugly Betty.
Oh yes, okay, I did read that, but I didn't watch Ugly Betty.
Me neither. But I know people really like him. What I enjoyed about him is that he seems a little bit just like sort of less conventional as like a leading man, and I really appreciated that.
Oh, I really liked him a lot. I thought he was quite charming. I thought he was a good leading man for this. I thought he was perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I really liked him in it, but like he's not sort of like the classic like the hot trainer. Luke McFarlane is the kind of guy who sort of, I think, often gets cast as like leads in, you know, movies like this.
He's 41 years of age in real life. I wasn't sure if in this movie like his character was like 25 or 30 or 35. I had no idea how old he was.
Well, look at how beautifully that speaks to him.
Luke McFarlane is actually a Canadian actor as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like he this sounds weird, but he has a real Canadian vibe about him.
Yeah.
And honestly, so I did not expect to cry twice.
Oh no, did you?
Oh my gosh.
I cannot guess at where.
Me
Please
either.
tell us.
When first it was when Barry Bostwick is talking to Nick and he's saying that he's been in love with his best friend for 35 years or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
However he said it and however he conveyed it to Nick and the way Nick received that information.
Wow. Okay.
I burst into tears. I turned to Carlos and I was like, he loves his best friend.
Is this a symptom of low iron as well?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Probably.
I'm thinking.
Probably. And then when like just like when finally like Nick like just when I finally like when Nick finally was just like, you know, I really like I have feelings for you, I love you, and he was just so sweet and tender about it. I teared up too. I couldn't help it. I wanted these crazy kids to get together.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
The most emotionally moved I was when they're drinking like peppermint lattes on their date, and I was like, peppermint latte. I haven't had one of those in ages.
Wow. That was the most emotionally moved you were.
Yeah. Like now I really want a peppermint latte.
Amazing. Does it make sense to either of you what is happening with Aunt Sand? Can we just talk about that?
None of that made sense to me.
I don't know I don't even understand why she was in this. Like there was literally no reason. The whole play thing could have happened without her. They could have been, hey, Uncle Peter, we need someone to direct our pageant. And he could have said, I'm in. Like literally we did not need, as much as I love Jennifer Coolidge, I do not think she was necessary in this story at all.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I'm obsessed with Jennifer Coolidge, and I feel like I did not understand what she was doing with this role. Like, she seemed in a whole other movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, are we supposed to find it hilarious that she's just like screaming unhinged things at a group of children? And half of these children don't belong to this family. Where are these kids coming from? What's happening?
Yeah. And where did they call her in? Like, you know, like.
Apparently she does this every year. Apparently she comes in every year and does this. But like.
But then they got that guy at the bar that every year also writes a Christmas song. So this is quite the Christmas town, hey? This is.
Well, they describe this. They do describe it at least once or twice as a Christmas town. And I don't feel like we got enough, like. We got enough of that. Like I
agree with that.
I wanted more. I want more evidence that this is a Christmas town. Like I
didn't see any carolers.
No, we have one character whose name is Mrs. Claus, and she hooks up with like the guy who I don't know. She hooked up with somebody. I can't remember who. I liked at the end when Jennifer Coolidge does her dance for the Christmas. The Christmas karaoke guy who writes his own song.
Yes,
every Christmas. But again, what is that? What is even happening?
I know.
That is
I know.
and
then she hits actually, on whatever his name is, Trainer. Yeah. That was awkward.
That is actually like a really kind of touching thing to do for your small town, is to every year write a song about like what went on that year.
Well, yeah, that's
you're like the town troubadour. That's kind of cool.
There are moments in this movie where you can see that like some different nuggets of ideas were happening, and somehow they just all got flattened instead of heightened. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And like, I really, really do appreciate like the number of people who wrote about this movie. Brandon Tensley for CNN called it a necessary queer fantasy, talking about the importance of radical joy. San Francisco Gate, they're talking about how it's so nice to see, as opposed to like last year's Happiest Season, which like also centers on a queer couple. This one, like last year's Happiest Season, there, you know, it's a movie really about sort of being closeted. It's not about like living openly, fully, like beautifully accepted lives of queerness, you know? And so I get like, I think that that's all like so important and so valid and so wonderful. And I guess like, again, like you said earlier, like the burden of representation, this being the first Netflix Christmas rom-com to have a gay couple, we just, you know, we are going to sort of like want to see more and more and more from it. And that's not fair. There should just be like 30 of these films that exist already in the same way that like there are tons of other films that exist that all have like straight couples at the center. And so.
Yeah.
frankly, at
everybody
this
should
point,
have
they
the
could
right
just...
to be in a crappy film at Christmas. I mean,
But frankly, they could just recycle like all the storylines and just redo them as gay love stories.
yeah,
And release
Absolutely.
them, and people would totally be like, yeah, that's fine.
yeah, yeah. I look
I
forward
really
to
liked
that.
Yeah, and I also really like that like this is such like family friendly fare. And so there is something like there is something really radical about that. It's just like there's going to be a bunch of families in places where it's still hard to be out and be, gay, and they're going to be watching these movies hopefully, or like stumbling across them anyways, and it's just I think there is something really powerful about that. And wonderful, and that it is just like a very happy film, that it's not sort of like stressing us with any sort of major consequences. I just think like it had a chance to be so many extra little things that could have really deepened its comedic factor, and really deepened its like Christmas thing. It would have been, well, like you said, hopefully the sequel is them getting married next Christmas.
Yeah.
The Christmas, like maybe they like become the Christmas kings in like
The plant
some
store is
cool...
going to be thriving. You know it.
Absolutely. Can you imagine
Yeah.
like the wreath work they're going to do for the
Yeah,
holidays?
exactly. Yeah. It's going to
God.
be a going concern.
Okay. So, do we think this movie pops?
Yeah, it pops.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Just watch
actually
it.
it's so much more charming than I even thought it would be, and
Agreed.
I absolutely plan to return to it. Like, I'm also going to watch Happiest Season again this year. Like, there are some... I don't know if I'll ever watch Hard Love again. Which, again, also a Netflix Christmas special. But I'm honestly, if we can get, like, one original film a year that I add to, like, our rotation of holiday films, I'll be thrilled.
Yeah. Agreed. 100% all above. Yep.
So nice. So nice. Well, I mean, also, do you guys want to learn the synchronized dance to Britney Spears' My Only Wish this year?
It seems that you don't need to learn it. You just need to listen to the song and make the gestures that she says.
I don't need to learn it. I just need to live it.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly. Go ahead.
Well, we love to leave our episodes on something we also like. AG, do you want to go first?
Sure. I was gonna recommend something like kind of dark and scary, but then listening to our talk at the beginning, I was like, "That's not what the people want.
No.
They
It's Christmas.
they want Christmas kind of fluff." And so I quickly have pivoted my choice to be this Christmas movie on Netflix called A Boy Called Christmas.
Oh,
It stars Maggie Smith and Sally Hawkins and Kristen Wiig, and
Oh,
it's got
gosh.
like an all-star cast, and it's like the origin story of Santa Claus, but set in like I think Finland. And so it's got some Lisa, you'll like it because it's
Yeah.
got this like Nordic feel to it, and
Okay.
it's like it's a fantasy, and it's a nice Christmas tale.
A Boy Called Christmas.
Hmm
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm excited.
that sounds great. Lisa, what about you?
Well, I finally read a book that I've been meaning to read for a long time. Maybe you both have. Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reid.
It's so good.
It is spectacular. I went through it in like 3 or 4 days. So it was such a great read. It was so smart, so interesting, so funny. It was so good. I can't wait. I bet it's going to be a movie, and I can't wait for it to be a movie. And if you haven't got around to reading it, make that your resolution. And that I'm not, as I started the podcast off this year, I said I was going to read 50 books. I think I'm going to hit 40.
That's
That
great.
yeah, and
That's
I'm not
not
going to
bad.
feel too bad about that. I mean, I'll still try to keep going, but that was book 38 for me this year. So I still think that's an accomplishment.
Absolutely. Congratulations. I also say the audiobook of Such a Fun Age, incredible.
Who does she narrate it?
No, it's narrated
okay.
by like a voice actor or like a professional narrator. But the professional narrator does such a good job, particularly of bringing the kid to life, and that's such a hard thing to do in audiobooks.
Okay.
She's great. It's
Yeah.
wonderful. So, yeah, I highly recommend that too. I'm going to recommend some new original Christmas music for people. So this is kind of like a thing that I do every year at CBC Music, where I work part-time. And I love new holiday music, Christmas, Hanukkah, like anything that's like wintry, solstice. Give me all your jams. I love it. And particularly like new holiday songs that are really good, I think are just kind of, they're, it just helps. It helps the season. It helps the genre of music. And Tennille Townes' Christmas Cards is just incredible. It's a sad song, but it has like this. It's just like a bittersweet tribute to growing up and apart and away from childhood friends. It has like these great lines like, "We had more hairspray than we had bangs."
I love her voice. I think her voice is so spectacular.
Her voice is spectacular. I just love it so much. And so I would go into that. But I would also just like, I'm going to recommend a second song. And this is like a reinvention of a sort of very classic Tchaikovsky holiday tune, Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy. And it's by Pilk Silk, and that's Piqsiq. And they are sisters who just do incredible work with sort of Inuit-style throat singing and avant-garde electronic music. And they're super, super cool. And this version of Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy, you've never heard anything like it. They also have a bunch of They do have a bunch of Christmas albums for the last couple of years too, and I really love that they've decided that this is like part of what they do is just like reinvents, and they also have some original Christmas music too.
Excellent. Well, that's a lot for everybody.
Yeah. So much good stuff. I hope you all enjoy it. I hope that you watch Single All the Way.
Yes, we do. You'll enjoy it. You'll feel happy you watched it.
Yeah, you'll be happy. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. Thank you for rating and reviewing us 5 stars, on iTunes and whatnot, making us part of your Spotify playlists. It's all very weird and fun, but I love it. You can hang out with us on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter. And you could also email us at popthiscollective@gmail.com.
And thanks as always to our producer and co-host, Andrea Gin, who makes all of this sound so great. And now, as of this year, became that permanent voice. So we're all so lucky.
Yeah, she thinks she's getting away from us at some point. Never. Never.
One of us. One of us. One of us. And I hope you guys all get out to have a Christmas party this year, too.
Yeah. If you feel safe and you've got like double vax and you're feeling good to go, great. Yeah. Enjoy.
At least a Christmas brunch.
Yeah. Yeah. Pick only 2 of your favorite people, and that's it. That's all you need. You don't need to make it a big family ensemble. Just 3. God. No. More than 6 people, I get very nervous. But anyway. There you go. We'll only be 3. We've got this covered. We got it covered. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, everyone. See you.